Give a schmeichel, give a smile. Give a schmeichel, give a schmeichel. Be the reason someone smiles. Give a schmeichel, give a schmeichel. Give a schmeichel, give a smile. Give a schmeichel, give a schmeichel. Be the reason someone smiles. Give a schmeichel, give a smile. Give a schmeichel, give a schmeichel. Be the reason someone smile. Give a schmeichel, give a schmeichel. Give a schmeichel, give a smile. Give a schmeichel, give a schmeichel. Be the reason someone smiles. Siva, gedola, liyo, liyo, besimcha. Siva, gedola, liyo, liyo, besimcha. Siva, gedola, liyo, liyo, besimcha. Siva, gedola.
Breakfast with Elli.
Mode ani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam shechazar בחרת בי נשמתי בחמלה רבה אמונתך
the Holocaust. It was refurbished by a family in LA, and now it's being brought into Gaza. The family asked that the soldiers look after the Torah, as the Torah will look after them.
We lighting Shabbat candles? And if we are we doing it with the proper kavanah? And if we are we doing it on time? Can we stretch a little bit to do it a little bit better? To take upon ourselves to light a little bit earlier? To take upon ourselves to light with a little bit more love and peace in the home, with the proper kavod to usher in the Shabbat Queen. The zechut that you join in to this incredible program, may you see so much light in your own personal life.
Ay, 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 good Shabbos. Ein dida layla, ein dida layla. Ay, 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 Shabbos Kodesh.
Good morning and welcome to Breakfast with Elli. It is Friday, the 29th day of December, the 17th day of Tevet. The Torah portion is Vayechi, the last portion of the book of Breshis, the first book of the Torah. Mazel Tov, we've completed it. HaYom Yom Shishi Shabbos, the sixth day counting up towards Shabbos. We'll be learning the sixth and seventh Aliyos. What did I do here? I made a boo-boo. Let me see if I can fix this really quick. No. Oopsie doopsie. Okay, I'll have to go fix that later. All right. Shabbos begins this week, God willing, at 4:18, and ends at 5:22. 4:18 today and 5:22 tomorrow. It is Shabbos Chazak. We say Chazak, Chazak when we finish the reading of the Torah. All right. Now, let us get started. Let's take our two front tzitzis, men and boys, and make a bracha.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al mitzvat tzitzit.
All right. Al divrei Torah, everyone together.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al divrei Torah.
All right, fantastic. And now we go to Hareini Mekabel.
Hareini Mekabel alai mitzvat aseh shel ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. I take upon myself every single day to love my fellow friend in a very special way.
All right, Torah Tziva.
Torah tziva lanu Moshe morasha keilat Yaakov. Torah tziva lanu Moshe morasha keilat Yaakov.
All right, time to give tzedakah.
I put it in the pushki, the tzedakah box. I put it in the pushki, the tzedakah box. I put it in the pushki for someone else to keep. Yeah, I put it in the pushki, the tzedakah box. I put it in the pushki, the tzedakah box. I put it in the pushki for someone else in need.
fantastic. Yeah, let me just fix this here. I'm sorry about that. All right. 16. All right. I think I fixed it. Yeah, I just wrote over something I shouldn't have wrote over. Okay. Now, time to say the Shema. Please forgive me. Sorry about that. Are you ready? Here we go. The Shema Unity Project.
Shema
Right. And of course, that takes us to breakfast. Are you ready? I've got my coffee and my yogurt together. Bracha shahakol. Borach ato Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shahakol nihiyah bidvaroi.
Coffee, blessed coffee. God bless you for being a friend. When the whole world turns on me, it's only you on which I can depend. I want to taste you in the morning and a few times throughout the day. Yes, a cup or two in the evening too. For me, it's the only way. Yeah.
All right. All right. Such amazing things to go through to tell you. We didn't get 2 minutes for tefillah today, so let's move right to today in Jewish history. All right, today in Jewish history. It is the last Shabbos of Parshas Breshis, the first New York synagogue, the Spanish-Portuguese shul in 1728. They held a Rosh Hashanah service in New Amsterdam, founding Congregation Sharei Yisrael, the remnants of Israel. On this, the 17th day of Tevet in 1728, they purchased a lot in Lower Manhattan to erect the first synagogue in New York. The Toldos Aaron passed away on this day in the year 5515 from creation. He was Rabbi Aaron Zelig ben Yol Fivish of Ostrog, Russia. And the Dubna Magid, his yahrzeit is today, Rabbi Yaakov Wolf Krantz, the Magid of Dubna, particularly known for his parables that he employed in his sermons and in his writings. On Shabbat, the exilarch Reish Galuta of Babylonian Jewry, Huna Mori Bar Mar Zutra, was executed in Pompadisa by the order of the Persian Empire on the 18th of Tevet in the year 4229 from creation, 469. Also killed on that day was Rav Meshira Bar Pakod, the third Jewish leader who was arrested with them. Rav Amemar Bar Mar Yunuka was executed 2 months later. Yeah, Persian emperor. Yep, bad guy. And it is the yahrzeit on Shabbat of the Bnei Yisachar, Rabbi Tzvi Elimelech Shapiro of Dainov, the author of the Hasidic work Bal Yisachar. All right, fantastic. AI and Judaism. We are in a new era, and artificial intelligence is taking over. So what do you say about this?
Jews and AI. The connection may blow your mind. In case you haven't heard, AI is taking over the world. What does that have to do with Jews exactly? Actually a lot. Minus the whole taking over the world part. This is Jew Know It, and today we'll be talking about AI. What could a book as old as the Torah possibly have to say about something as futuristic as AI? Well, we can kind of think of Torah like the original AI, except there's nothing artificial about it. Follow me here. Today's AI uses LLMs, that's large language models, like ChatGPT, to analyze massive amounts of information in a matter of seconds and output a response based on its programming. The Torah kind of does the same thing. Think about it. Let's say that you have a problem with a friend, coworker, or a partner, and you're looking for a solution. So you turn to Judaism. You could throw any of these problems at the Torah, and with the help of a rabbi, the Torah will give its best advice or guidance based on its stories and antidotes. These stories and antidotes are equivalent to AI's programming. Get it? No? Okay, go ask AI then. Next up, why does so much AI come out of Israel? Israel's become one of the biggest tech hubs in the world. It's even got its own nickname, the Silicon Wadi. Silicon means silicon, and Wadi means valley in Hebrew. I promise their tech is more creative than their nickname. There's Mobileye, a company specializing in driverless cars. There's Waze, an app acquired by Google to help you avoid traffic, which I'm sure you already know about. Cortica, a startup focusing in visual intelligence. And let's not forget Gong.io, Verbit, AnyVision, Deep Instinct, AI Doc, and I could go on. Why does so much AI come out of Israel? Well, for one, Israelis have the chutzpah and entrepreneurial spirit to take big risks and innovate. It's just part of who they are. Two, Israelis military's cyber unit are like AI boot camps, training top talent in cutting-edge technology. Three, Israel's tech ecosystem, where ideas and knowledge flow freely, it's a perfect breeding ground for AI innovation. This brings us to our next topic, Jewish ethics and AI. And I promise, it's not as boring as it sounds. Remember the phrase tikkun olam from Hebrew school? If not, let me bring you up to speed. Tikkun olam is all about making the world a better place. And it's a big freaking deal in Judaism. So when it comes to AI and Judaism, it's not really good or bad. It's all about how we use it and what we do with it. If we're using AI to make the world a better place, it's positive. If we're not, it's not. Pretty simple, right? For example, positive uses of AI could be in the healthcare system, promoting accessibility for people with disabilities, helping environmental sustainability, or fostering an inclusive and unbiased legal system. There's a lot of fear out there with AI, but imagine a world in which AI follows Jewish ethical principles. Doesn't sound so scary anymore, does it? Of course, you might be thinking to yourself, I'm not some genius programmer making AI. Well, if you are using AI, just check in with yourself and ask, is this making the world a better place? If not, up next, AI rabbis. Imagine having a rabbi at your fingertips, ready to instantly answer all of your burning questions about life, death, dating, whatever. Now imagine that this rabbi has an encyclopedic knowledge about Judaism, more so than any rabbi could ever have, or any human could ever have. And now imagine that this rabbi could adjust its tone based on your emotions, appearance, or even just your micro-expressions. And imagine this rabbi could fit in your back pocket.
And this is what the front of it looks like. Boom, and it goes right in my pocket.
No, I don't mean that this rabbi is fun size. I mean that this rabbi is an AI on your phone. But would this rabbi on our phones be like a real rabbi? Not really. AIs can't replace rabbis. While rabbi eyes, get it, can teach us everything that there is to possibly know about Judaism, they can't connect us to something bigger than ourselves during our short time on planet Earth. Why couldn't an AI rabbi do this? Because they don't have souls. So they can't connect us to anything beyond our physical world, which is a rabbi's whole job. Sorry AI, that's just how it is. Next up, our final burning question. So could an AI be Jewish? You're probably thinking, no. But let's play it out. Say an AI is programmed to follow all rituals and customs, recite all the prayers, and observe all the Jewish holidays. Say an AI was created by Jewish people with Jewish ancestry. And say this AI had all of the knowledge and beliefs of Jewish teachings, incorporating all of the ethics. Could this AI be Jewish? I'm gonna have to go with the answer, no. And that is because, as we stated before, AIs don't have souls. In Judaism, the concept of having a soul is a big deal. It's like this intangible innermost essence that makes us who we are. It's also believed to be unique to humans and separate us from animals and all other parts of the world. In Judaism, the soul is what connects us to something deeper, beyond our physical world. So while AI does some pretty cool stuff, it's missing that special spark that defines our soulful existence. This has been Jew Know It, a series where we tackle questions big and small about Judaism, even the ones you're too afraid to ask. Hit that like button and subscribe to follow along, and drop a comment about what you want to hear next.
All right, HaYom Yom for today.
היום הזה הוא זמן שמחתנו, שמע את התפילה שבליבנו, ותמחול את כל עוונותינו ביום הזה.
Davis.
Is it possible for there to be a wrong time to do something good? Of course it's possible. Do not feed the animals. Why is it that kids have such a difficult time wrapping their head around that policy at the zoo? Well, it's simple. This little girl has spent her entire life learning that sharing is the most wonderful virtue. So when she comes to the zoo with her snack and is looking at the furried animal on the other side of the fence, this presents an obvious opportunity for her to execute that wonderful virtue that she's learned about. It takes knowledge and maturity to understand that even if you're doing something wonderful, there is a proper time and a proper place for everything. Today's HaYom Yom reads as follows. Rabbi Shalom Ber, the fifth Rebbe of Chabad, said that it is our custom to refrain from studying Torah on the evening of Nittel. That would be the night preceding December 25th. The reason for this custom is to refrain from lending Torah energy to this day. Once, Rabbi Shalom Ber, who was a huge proponent of diligent Torah study every moment of the day throughout the year, the same Rabbi Shalom Ber said, I am not happy with those scholars who are unable to pull themselves away from Torah study for these 8 hours. The custom is that we refrain from Torah study from sunset on that evening until midnight. And once the clock hits midnight, you are free to continue your studies. So if you're an academic and you were born with a love of learning and you're a diligent person of study, or if you're a very compassionate person and you love to share and give, those are wonderful virtues for you to cultivate. But even when you're engaged in doing something wonderful, remember, there is a proper time and a proper place. If you want to be rich, hang out with rich people. If you want to be healthy, then live where healthy people live. And if you want to be as close to Hashem as possible, than hang out with godly people. Right? Wrong. Today's HaYom reads, when the third Rebbe of Chabad, the Tzemach Tzedek, was but a child, he was at Cheder, at school, and was learning the story of the end of Yaakov's life. The little boy's teacher pointed out what the commentaries say, that the last 17 years of Yaakov's life, years in which he lived not in the Holy Land of Israel, but in the land of Egypt, these years were the best years of Yaakov's life. The young Tzemach Tzedek absorbed this lesson, but upon returning home, he had a question for his grandfather, the first Rebbe of Chabad. How could it be, asked the little boy, that the best years of Yaakov's life were in the land of Egypt? After all, Yaakov Avinu was a righteous and holy person, and Egypt, Mitzrayim, was a very unholy place to live. The young boy's grandfather, the Alter Rebbe, responded. In the Torah's narrative, before Yaakov travels down to Egypt, he sends his son Yehuda to go there first. The Midrash and Rashi explain that the purpose of Yehuda's earlier settlement was to establish a house of study. This way, when Yaakov and his sons arrived in Egypt, they would immediately begin Torah study. You see, says the Alter Rebbe, when a Jew studies Torah, he becomes closer to Hashem, regardless of where he is, and then he can lead a truly noble and holy life, even in the land of Egypt. It's easy to attach yourself to a pack of people that are doing the right thing and just go with the flow. But when you're in an environment that is different than what you believe in, now you're forced to question and reassert your values. If you're able to bring some light into a dark corner of the world or into a dark corner of your life, now you're unleashing real potential.
All right. And that brings us to our newest feature, Basi Lagani, the mimer of
Good morning. Today we will be covering Chapter 2 of Basi Lagani. So we started speaking yesterday about how when the Beis HaMikdash, in the sacrifices of the Beis HaMikdash, they are similar to the sacrifices, or directly proportional to the sacrifices that we make within our own neshamas. The previous Rebbe begins this chapter with that same discussion, discussing how the verse in Vayikra chapter 1, verse 2, has a very interesting wording. If a man shall bring a sacrifice from you, it shall be of the cattle of the herd of the flock. What does the verse mean? If a man shall bring a sacrifice mikem from you, an offering mikem from you. The Rebbe goes on to explain that the korbanos, the sacrifices done in the Beis HaMikdash, even though they were physically done by the Kohanim, accompanied musically by the Leviim, the fact that we had to bring them to the Beis HaMikdash to be sacrificed is actually a physical manifestation, an outward expression of the korbanos and the offering and the refinement that we do within our own neshamas. It is essentially a self-sacrifice. In other words, since the Shekhinah dwells in the Beis HaMikdash and dwells with us, or did at the time, when the Kohanim make their karbanis, which are brought by each individual person, the Kohanim are doing what we discussed in the last chapter. They are helping to elevate each person, each man, each woman, each child of the Jewish people who brought the karbanis to the Beis HaMikdash. Now, why do the karbanis have to be of the animals, of the cattle, the flock, and the herd? Because those animals represent our animal soul, our nefesh habahamis. So when we bring the korbanos that will be sacrificed by the Kohanim, we are bringing mikem, from you, from ourselves, sacrifices that will elevate and refine our own nefesh habahamis, our own animal soul. Now the Rebbe goes on to discuss the consuming fire, which is the Eish, the fire that comes down min shamayim, from heaven, and consumes the sacrifices on the Mizbeach. And it's written that such a fire cannot be quenched in any way. It consumes but cannot be consumed. In a similar way, the Nefesh Elokis, the godly soul that is within each of us, is like that Eish, like that fire. It consumes, so to speak, really the term would be refining. It consumes or refines or elevates the animal soul by literally consuming its desires and subverting its desires. And this consumption of the desires of the Nefesh HaBahamis elevates and refines that particular soul and brings it closer to Hashem, which was the idea of the consuming fire in the Beis HaMikdash. In fact, the previous Rebbe states that we should be constantly contemplating how can we make our thoughts, our words, and our actions like those of Avraham Avinu. Because of the idea of korbanos, and since we don't have the Beis HaMikdash, we make the korbanos within ourselves. Because of this idea of self-sacrifice, which was done by bringing a sacrifice to the Beis HaMikdash, and now is done through Torah and mitzvahs, we can, in fact, refine our souls so that we can reach the same heights as Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. And that concludes Perek Beis, Chapter 2. Thank you. We will continue by the pre-recorded Perek Gimel for Shabbos. We are pre-recording Perek Gimel, Chapter 3, for Shabbos. Now, the Rebbe goes, in this chapter, into a discussion about the idea of klipa and the idea of shtus. Now, klipa is the husk or shell. Klipos are the shells which cover kedusha, holiness. Klipa comes basically, primarily, from the Sitra Achra, the side of unholiness, although there is klipas noiga, which is somewhere in between Sitra Achra and kedusha. In our world of Asiya, the lowest world, there's a lot of klipa. There's a lot of unholiness which pervades the atmosphere, which is why it is so important for us to do Torah and mitzvahs, to learn Torah and do mitzvahs, in order to elevate those sparks, those husks, those little sparks of unholiness back into kedusha. Because really, klipa doesn't want to be in the Sitra Achra. It wants nothing more than to return to being united with Hashem, with God, in its divine source. So it wants to go to Kedusha. It desires to go to Kedusha. But unfortunately, it's sort of stuck in this Sitra Achra, or this sort of purgatorial state in between Sitra Achra and Kedusha. The Rebbe talks about here the idea of Klippa and the idea of the spirit of folly, which he calls the Ruach HaShtus, which we can call the Ruach HaShtus. What do these two things have in common? Klippa is from the side of Sitra Achra, as is the spirit of folly. And what both of them do, essentially, is obscure our awareness of God. These are the things that allow us to think such things as, these are the forces that allow us to think such things as, well, I could daven, but instead I'd rather go play basketball. Or, well, I could go study Torah, but instead I'd rather watch Netflix. The previous Rebbe explains therefore, that what we need to do through this idea of subverting the desires of the Nefesh HaBahamis, as discussed in the previous chapter, we need to elevate the Klippa back up into Kedusha, which is where it wants to go initially, and we need to completely conquer the Ruach HaShtus, the spirit of folly, within our own selves. And by doing so, we will then be able to see the divine light that is revealed, and we will be aware of God and aware of godliness, and thus we will not commit averas, transgressions. Because, as the previous Rebbe says, it's the Klippa, which obscures the light, and the Ruach HaShtus within ourselves, the spirit of folly within ourselves, that actually makes us unaware of God's presence. And I mean unaware in a deep spiritual level. We're so unaware that we could perceive that when we commit an avera, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We could say, well, what would happen if we ate teif? Nothing's going to happen to us, because we're so unaware of the divine light. We're so unaware of godliness due to these klippos and due to the Ruach HaShtus. So what we need to do is refine both of these things through our actions, our thoughts, our actions, and our thoughts, our words, and our actions. And by doing so, we will become so aware of godliness that we will not sin. We cannot sin. And that concludes Perek Gimel. I want to wish everyone a wonderful and glorious Shabbos. Remember that Shabbos is a taste of Olam Haba, the world to come. So please, relax, enjoy, and be in Olam Haba for 25 hours. Good Shabbos.
We will be back. And now, a word from our sponsors. PestProRidall.com.
PestProRidall.com. Trusted by the best to keep away the pests. We are offering COVID-19 disinfection services. Mention this ad and get 1 month free service. Visit us at PestProRidall.com.
Tarzane Group. Micro, miniature, and small orchids. Go to tarzanegroup.com or call Tomas at 305-440-0565. That's 440-0565 and order today. Visit Tomas and Yair at tarzaingroup.com. Micro, miniature, and small orchids, beautiful in your home. Go to the website and read Tomas's orchid blog. And by Dina D Design. DinaDDesign@gmail.com. Fine artwork, custom made to your specifications. Logos, wall hangings, Judaica. And you can even have something for your child's room. Dina D Designs. Go to her Facebook or Instagram or call or text. Thank you very much to our sponsors. If you'd like to become a sponsor, please go right up here to where it says patreon.com/theactorsrabbi, and you can contribute even only $1 a month if you'd like, but that'll help us bring this broadcast to you on a daily basis and cover our expenses. Be sure to thank your sponsors when shopping and mention Breakfast with Elli when you're shopping there. There might be discounts. Thanks for watching.
Torah, 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 Tziva lanu Moshe. Torah, 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 Tziva lanu Moshe.
All right, patreon.com/theactorsrabbi or breakfastwithelli.live/new computer to contribute to our campaign today. All right, very important, please. Yeah, very important. All right, thank you. We are doing the second half of Rabbi Sachs' Olav Shalom, his covenant and conversation for Parshas Vayechi.
Are not predicting the future. I am a historian, so I only make predictions about the past. What is more, I am a retired historian, so even my past is passé. This was a profoundly Jewish answer. In the 21st century, we know so much at a macro and micro level. We look up and see a universe of 100 billion galaxies, each of 100 billion stars. We look down and see the human body containing 100 trillion cells, each with a double copy of the human genome, 3.1 billion letters long. Enough, if transcribed, to fill a library of 5,000 books. But there remains one thing we do not know and will never know: what tomorrow will bring. The past, said L.P. Hartley, is a foreign country, but the future is an undiscovered one. That is why predictions so often fail. That is the essential difference between nature and human nature. The ancient Mesopotamians could make accurate predictions about the movement of the planets. Yet even today, despite brain scans and neuroscience, we are still not able to predict what people will do. Often, they take us by surprise. The reason is that we are free. We choose, we make mistakes, we learn, we change, we grow. The failure at school becomes the winner of a Nobel Prize. The leader who disappointed suddenly shows courage and wisdom in a crisis. The driven businessman has an intimation of mortality and decides to devote the rest of his life to helping the poor. Some of the most successful people I ever met were written off by their teachers at school and told they would never amount to anything. We constantly defy predictions. This is something science has not yet explained and probably never will. Some believe freedom is an illusion, but it isn't. It's what makes us as human. We are free because we are not merely objects, we are subjects. We respond not just to physical events, but to the way we perceive those events. We have minds, not just brains. We have thoughts, not just sensations. We react, but we can also choose not to react. There's something about us that is irreducible to material physical causes and effects. The way our ancestors spoke about this remains true and profound. We are free because God is free and He made us in His image. That's what is meant by the three words God told Moses at the burning bush when he asked God for his name. And God replied, Ehyeh asher ehyeh. This is often translated as, I am what I am. But what it really means is, I will be who and how I choose to be. I am the God of freedom. I cannot be predicted. Note that God says this at the start of Moses' mission to lead a people from slavery to freedom. He wanted the Israelites to become living testimony to the power of freedom. Do not believe that the future is written. It isn't. There is no fate we cannot change, no prediction we cannot defy. We are not predestined to fail, neither are we preordained to succeed. We do not predict the future because we make the future. By our choices, our willpower, our persistence, and our determination to survive. And the proof of this is the history of the Jewish people itself. The first reference to Israel outside the Bible is engraved on the Meneptah stele, inscribed about 1225 BCE by Pharaoh Meneptah IV, Ramses II's successor. It reads, Israel is laid waste, her seed is no more. It was, in short, an obituary. The Jewish people has been written off many times by its enemies, but it remains, after almost 4 millennia, still young and strong. That is why when Jacob wanted to tell his children what would happen to them in the future, the divine spirit was taken away from him. Our children continue to surprise us as we continue to surprise others. Made in the image of God, we are free. Sustained by the blessings of God, we can become greater than anyone, even ourselves, could foresee.
Our Chazak, Chazak, Mishchazek, Chazak, 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 Mishchazek, Chazak, Chazak.
All right. That's the first time we are saying Chazak for today. We will say it a couple of more times as we continue to finish things. In the sixth Aliyah, Binyamin was likened to a devouring wolf. Hold on one second. Sorry about that. And then one more. Just trying to get this ready. All right. Yaakov then repeated his request to be buried in Israel, in the cave of Machpelach in Hebron, and he passed away at the age of 147. After an extended national mourning period, Yosef received Pharaoh's permission to carry Yaakov's body to Israel. A huge funeral procession consisting of all the elders of Egypt, as well as Yaakov's family, went and buried Yaakov. After returning to Mitzrayim, Yosef's brothers feared that now, after Yaakov had passed away, Yosef would exact revenge from them from selling him into slavery. Yosef reassured them that he harbored no ill feelings toward them. And in the seventh and last Aliyah, Yosef lived until the age of 110. And before passing away, he told his brothers that Hashem would eventually take them out of Egypt and return them to the promised land. Yosef then asked his brothers to promise that when that time arrived, they would carry his remains with them and inter him in Israel. All right, Chumash and Rashi with Rabbi Avtson. taking us to Parsha Points with Rabbi Epstein.
Points Vayechi for Friday. Why couldn't Paro learn Hebrew? I mean, he could learn Portuguese and Kawishana, that's the native language of Brazil, of course, but not Hebrew? Perhaps it wasn't the conjunction of Poal, Hifal, Nifal that he struggled with. Rather, it was Lashon Kodesh, holy language, how to speak with holiness and sanctity. That's what he couldn't master. Don't just speak in Hebrew, speak Lashon Kodesh, holy language. For Shabbos. Out with a bang. Why does the first book of the Torah end on such a sad note? Yosef dies and is buried in Egypt. His death is sad. His burial in Egypt is reassuring. Yosef knows the slavery is coming, and his burial spot in Egypt is the ultimate assurance that we're getting out of here. In the darkest times of the slavery, we were reassured. Yosef, the Jew who mastered Mitzrayim, is with us, and we will endure, and we will leave with him. His presence there was the reassurance we needed to get us out of there.
All right. We're running a little bit behind, so let's do Reb Zusha Zilberstein.
Oh, my friends, let's give some tzedakah, let's give it together, and Be'ezras Hashem, we will merit all the blessings that tzedakah gives. Third pillar, Torah. Vayechi, parsha of this week, Vayechi, and he lived. Seemingly discussing the life of Yaakov, but really we're talking over here about the passing of Yaakov. Why is it called Vayechi and he lived? Let's come back to it in a moment. But here's an interesting Balaturim, and it says the following. The pasuk says, "Vayechi Yaakov be'eretz Mitzrayim shva'esrei shana." Yaakov lived in Egypt for 17 years. 17, says the Balaturim, corresponds to the Hebrew word of toiv. Toiv, good. Yom Tov, a good day. May God help this should become already the Yom Tov, the ultimate Yom Tov. Good. Tov is spelled Tes, Vav, Beis, corresponds to 17. Says the Balaturim, the best years of Yaakov's life were those 17 years that he spent in Egypt, when his whole family was together with him in Egypt, including Yosef and the grandsons Ephraim and Menashe. Those were his best years. A further thought, he says, Vayechi corresponds to 34, obviously twice 17. This also refers again to his relationship with Yosef. The first 17 years that Yosef was at home with him, where he raised him, and then as we know, at the age of 17 he was sold into slavery, and the rest is history. So the 17 years that Yosef was with his father prior to his abduction, and then the 17 years where he reunited with him in Egypt, these were the 34 years, twice Tov, twice 17, his ultimate good years. But this deserves a little attention. In Egypt was his best years, better than when he was with his father Yitzchak, better than when he even met his grandfather Avraham Avinu. Not only Avraham Avinu, he even met Shem, because Shem died in the year 2,150 years after creation. So he had an opportunity still to see Shem, son of Noach. He heard from him the whole story of the flood. And then later on he was with his grandson Ever, and Yaakov was learning in their yeshiva. Best life of a person is when the time is in yeshiva. Idyllic moment, no worries, no problems, just sitting and studying Torah. What can there be better than this blissful moment? Egypt, which is Ervas Haaretz, the corruption of the world, the impurity of the world. It says 49 gates of impurity is where Egypt had sunk. This is what we can say are his best moments. But the answer is in the further pasuk. It says later on that Yaakov conferred on his two grandchildren, Yosef's children, Ephraim and Menashe, the same level, Lihem, they're my children. He made them into part of the 12 tribes. Why did they deserve that special status? And the answer is Yaakov saw something here that he didn't see before. Those children were born into Egyptian royalty, raised within the palaces of Egypt. Obviously had to be involved in Egyptian culture and lifestyle and society, the haute society, the high society of Egypt. Father is viceroy. Father is in charge of everything. They all depend on him. The whole Middle East, the whole world depended on Yosef to be taking care of them. In fact, when the brothers came to Yosef, Ephraim and Menashe was there. They didn't recognize him. They thought they were two Egyptian people. Yet, says Yaakov, they were raised like my own children, even in such an adverse environment as Egypt, that has all the trimmings to make sure that they should be Egyptians. Yet they are tzaddikim, they're righteous, they're holy like my own children. Says Yaakov, this is my best time. When I see that even in exile, and Yaakov was quite aware that this exile is starting, that even in exile, his children will be his children, this is his best life. Now this explains also what the Talmud says, Yaakov lo meis. Yaakov didn't die. Why? Mazaro b'chaim afu b'chaim. Just like his children are alive, so is he alive. Obviously this has many, many explanations, but a very simple one. Yaakov continues to be alive through his children. When we live in Yaakov's lifestyle, Yaakov is alive. Although, I should emphasize, the Talmud says that he's alive in a physical sense, he's present, whatever that means. But Vayechi, Yaakov is eternally alive through us. And that's the end of the book of Bereshit. Chazak, chazak. We have to strengthen ourselves in this dimension of life. This is what brings Mashiach.
All right. Fantastic. I wish we had time for more things today, but we are running so behind. Let me get to the next part. We are going to do the Haftarah. Here we go. The Haftarah for this week is from the book of Melachim. The Haftarah says that David HaMelech delivers his deathbed message to his sons and to his successor Solomon, echoing this week's Torah reading that discusses Yaakov's parting words and instructions to his son. All right. There we go. David HaMelech encourages Shlomo to be strong, remain steadfast in his belief in Hashem, which will ensure his success in all his endeavors, as well as the continuation of the Davidic dynasty. I know. Pretty cool, right? Hold on 1 second. There we go. All right. The Haftarah concludes with David's burial and his death and his burial in the city of David. King Solomon takes his father's place, and the sovereignty of David's throne is ensured. All right. And that, my friends, takes us to Tehillim.
Al Yedei Amidas Tehillim, Al Yedei Amidas Tehillim, Al Yedei Amidas Tehillim, Tisoyrecha Vatzeles HaShoroin.
Chapter 23 and 122. Let's do it.
David Adonai Ro'i lo echsar binos teshe yarbitzeni al menuchos yinahaleni nafshi shovev ינחני במעגלי צדק למען שמו, גם כי לך בגיא צלמובס לא ירא. כי אתה עמדי, שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפניי שולחן נגד צורריי. תשענת בשמן ראשי, כוסי לוויה, אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני. כל ימי חיי ושבתי בביס אדוני לאורך ימים.
שמע לישראל אבי שמחתי בימים נמלי ויסעלינו הנה אלי איים דייסו יורע אלינו בשערייך ירושלים ירושלים הבנויה כאיש יחור עלי יחדיו ששמו שותים שבטי העדות לישראל להידייס לשם עלינו שם ישבו חיסייס ומשפט כיסייס לבייס דוד שאלו שלום מירושלים ישליו אוהבייך ישליו מחילך שבה ויין נייסייך
Hi, Tanya for today, the 17th day of Teves. Let's go.
Tanya thoughts for the 17th of Teves. A wise man once said, before you say something, think twice, then don't say it anyway. How do we defeat that impulse? We learn from Yosef. He had every justification to be considered virtuous by simply forgiving his brothers. He didn't just forgive them, he treated them lavishly. And the Tanya doesn't call him Yosef HaTzadik, that's the name we're accustomed to, rather simply Yosef, to remind us that we all have that ability to not only resist the temptation to act on our impulses, rather to use that as a spur to do precisely the opposite. And that's how we start to whittle away at the Nefesh HaBahamis.
Let's talk Tanya for the 17th of Teves of a leap year. In yesterday's Tanya, we explained that there are two different levels of tzaddik. There is a lower level of tzaddik called a tzaddik she'eni gomer, the incomplete tzaddik. There's the higher level of tzaddik known as the tzaddik gomer, the complete tzaddik. And we explained that when Rab Shimon Bar Yochai, the author of the Zohar, when he said that B'nai Aliyah, truly elevated people, are very rare, he was talking about the higher level of tzaddik. Why is the higher level of tzaddik, those people who are tzaddikim gemurim, the complete tzaddikim, why are they called elevated people? So in yesterday's Tanya, the Alter Rebbe gave one reason, because it is only the higher level of tzaddik, the complete tzaddik, who manages to elevate their animal soul. And in today's Tanya, the Alter Rebbe is going to give another reason. And that is that as opposed to the incomplete tzaddik, who still maintains an ego, some sort of self-centeredness, some sort of personal identity, although that identity and that ego, the animal soul, is very much suppressed, but it's still there, hidden somewhere. The complete tzaddik has no ego whatsoever. And therefore, the service of the complete tzaddik, when the complete tzaddik studies Torah or does mitzvahs, it is only to give God nachas, to make God happy. Everyone else, when we learn Torah, we do mitzvahs, it's because we have a desire. I want to live a spiritual life. I want to live a meaningful life. I want to have a relationship with God, all of which is possible only through learning Torah and doing mitzvahs. The complete tzaddik has no personal agenda whatsoever. And that's why he's called B'nai Aliyah. These people are called elevated people because their service is for the purpose of the one on high, the most elevated one. Their only focus is on giving Hashem, giving God nachas. And the Alter Rebbe quotes the Zohar when the Zohar talks about the level of love that Moshe Rabbeinu had for Hashem. And the Zohar compares Moshe Rabbeinu to a child, Kibradi ishtadal basar avoy v'imoy, which means like a child who strives on behalf of his father and his mother, and he's willing to do whatever is necessary for them because he loves his father and his mother even more than he loves his own body and soul. That is the love of the tzaddik gomer, the complete tzaddik. Obviously, many of us, when we hear this, we're like, what does that have to do with me? This idea of this complete and utter selflessness and serving God only for God's sake seems to be so distant from my reality, and that's true. This is the level of Moshe Rabbeinu, the level of the complete tzaddikim, which, as we said yesterday, complete tzaddikim are very rare. But at the same time, we do have to understand the fact that Alter Rebbe did include this idea in Tanya, and Tanya is the Sefer Shel Beinanim, the book of the strugglers, as we discussed previously in the beginning of Tanya, and as we'll talk again, God willing, in the coming segments. And therefore, every part of Tanya has to have relevance to every single one of us, including those who are actively struggling against our animal soul. Which means that even this high level of the tzaddik gomer, the complete tzaddik, this complete selflessness, maybe we can't relate to it completely. Maybe that can't be the complete truth of our service of God. But to some degree, to some level, that's something that we should be aspiring to also, to the degree possible, considering who we are and the level that we are in, to be able to try to put ourselves aside and serve God with the intention of giving him nachas. So with this, we've concluded the first possible outcome in the struggle between the animal soul and the godly soul. The first outcome is tzaddik. The godly soul has the advantage, has the upper hand. In tomorrow's Tanya, we start chapter 11, and we're going to learn about the second possible outcome of this struggle.
All right. Sefer HaMitzvos of the Rambam.
No, it's not impossible that ever did say. Just study Rambam each and every day. I'll never miss my daily Rambam. My episode desires. I'm not busy or too tired when I learn Rambam connected.
Baruch Hashem, it is day number 251 of our daily study of Rambam Sefer HaMitzvos, and in the 3 chapters a day study track of Mishnah Torah, we are continuing in Hilchos Gzeila V'Aveda. That's the laws of robbery and of lost objects. We started it yesterday with chapters 1, 2, and 3. Today we're doing chapters 4, 5, and 6. If you're studying 3 chapters a day of Mishnah Torah, yesterday we had the prohibition against Gzeila, against robbery. Today, we have a related mitzvah, just one mitzvah today, also a prohibition, just like yesterday. Negative commandment 247. And that is the prohibition expressed in Vayikra, Yud Tes, Yud Gimel, that's Leviticus 19:13. Loi sa'ashoik es reacho. Do not, literally it's translated as oppress your fellow, but we're going to explain what it means because it has a specific meaning here. The verse says, "Lo sa'ashoik es reacho," do not oppress your fellow, "V'lo sigzail," and do not rob from him. Okay, so these are 2 different but related prohibitions. They're distinct prohibitions, meaning they are separate mitzvahs of the 613 mitzvahs, but they have some similarity. First, what's the difference? Difference is like this. Loisa shoik is when the person who has the unlawfully obtained money, the ill-gotten gains, he didn't come up and snatch it. That's what the gazlan, that's a gazlan means a robber, someone who commits gzela. That's what robbery is. He comes and he grabs it. And it's not like gneva. Gneva we learned before. That's the thief who comes and secretly takes it. Loisa shoik means that the person who has the ill-gotten gains came about it in a legitimate way, sort of. It's just that he's refusing to now give it to the one to whom it's due. Give you an example, or give you a few examples. Employer-employee. So person worked, He earned wages. Now he comes to get paid, and the guy doesn't want to pay him. So he's holding on to money that doesn't belong to him. That's called leisashik. Another scenario, a creditor-debtor situation. I gave you a loan. Now it's time to pay it. And you're saying, no, I don't want to pay it. Or it could be a deposit. Somebody who left something for safekeeping. Oh, could you watch this? And then he comes back and he wants to get it. And the guy's like, no, you gave it to me. You told me you could have. Right? And I just want to explain also, it doesn't matter what line the person is saying why he's refusing to give it. It could be he just flat out refuses. He says, no, I won't do it. Could be he makes up a story. Oh, that wasn't the arrangement we had. Or it could just be some, like we say in Yiddish, medreta kop. He's spinning your head around. He's giving you the runaround. He says, oh, come back tomorrow and I'll have to look at my books and I'll see, whatever line he gives. It doesn't matter what line the guy is saying. The point is, he has something that doesn't belong to him, and now he's refusing to give it up. That is a distinct prohibition. Now, that's how it's different than gzela. How is it similar? Well, it's similar in the fact that you have something that doesn't belong to you. But it's really similar in the fact that the penalty for this prohibition is the same as the penalty for gzela, for robbery. Meaning to say, like we mentioned yesterday, if the person swears falsely that he doesn't have it or he doesn't owe it, then he'll have to pay a penalty of a fifth. And we explained yesterday how to calculate that fifth. Okay, that's the mitzvah for today. We will see you for more tomorrow, God willing.
Today we return to the subject of cheating in business transactions. A couple of days ago we learned a general prohibition applying to all Jews that forbids us from overpricing or underpaying in our buying and selling. Today we study negative mitzvah 253, which is a specific prohibition as it relates to gerim, to Jewish converts. The Torah has a separate prohibition to cheat converts in our business transactions with them. And as the Talmud sees it, when a person cheats, overcharges, or underpays when it comes to a Jewish convert, he actually transgresses multiple prohibitions. First, the general prohibition against cheating for all Jewish people, and then the specific prohibition against cheating a ger, a convert. This is one of Torah's examples where there's extra sensitivity shown towards those who joined our people. Today we review the prohibition we studied yesterday, negative mitzvah 253, the special prohibition to cheat a convert in our business transactions with him. Since we're talking about converts who was previously a non-Jew, I'll just mention another law that applies to cheating in business transactions as it relates to non-Jews. Because the Torah's expression when describing the prohibition of cheating in business is when you buy or sell to your fellow, the sages derive that the words to your fellow teach us that the laws of cheating in business transactions only apply between Jews. When it comes to non-Jews, this prohibition does not apply. Of course, we should act in honest ways, but if we happen to overcharge or underpay, there's no need to return, the transaction is valid, and everything is okay.
All right. And that, my friends, takes us to matters of Mashiach. One who serves Hashem out of love occupies themselves in the study of Torah and the mitzvahs. One who walks in the paths of wisdom for no ulterior motives, not because of fear that evil will occur, nor in order to acquire benefit. Rather, he does what's true because it's true, and ultimately good will come from it, and because of it. This is the level of our patriarch Abraham, whom Hashem described as he who loved me. That was written by the Rambam. In exile, we do not fully appreciate the greatness of our service of Hashem through Torah and mitzvahs. Therefore, we need external challenges to motivate us. When Mashiach comes, however, we will be self-motivated, and this mode of motivation, spiritual growth, can be compared to a rocket. Unlike an airplane that requires air resistance to fly, a rocket carries its own fuel and is self-propelled. Once set in flight, it continues to soar effortlessly, because there's nothing to slow its progress. As we enjoy the process of exploring, learning, and seeking to know Hashem, we propel ourselves into a trajectory of lifelong growth. This is the way of Mashiach. Excellent. And now, our PSAs.
With your weekly donation of $7, you will get access to a fitness library of from music, amazing exercise to get stronger, healthier, so that you can get stronger, and your donation can help Maspia, Soup Kitchen Network, help strengthen so many people and stay strong for many years to come.
Pantry food and hot meals every single day. In Rockland County, TomcheShabbos.org, in Lakewood, Tomche.org, and Achiezer.org for all your other needs. Hatzalah EMS is available 24/7 for your emergency needs. They have everything that you could possibly need. You can get them with the Global Assist app. Miss Askim, in times of bereavement, Miss Askim is there to help you out. They can handle everything from A to Z and everything in between. Just One Shabbos is here to help bring our misguided youth back to the beauty of keeping Shabbat one Shabbos at a time. And if you are, God forbid, the crime in progress, would you please call 911? And even on Shabbos, yes, that is true. Wear a mask. When you are out, it is
mask. Wear a mask. Is this really much to ask? Tie some fabric around your face. Oh, it's the simplest of tasks.
Protects
at the
everyone
gym, at the
around
store.
you.
Don't treat it like such a chore.
All right. Mainly, it's there for your own protection. All right. Get your vaccines. Keep up to date. RSV, monkeypox, flu. All the vaccines, they're there to help you out. All right. Bringing some heaven. Panic, confusion, pessimism, nightmares of a heart freely handed the reins to your mind. Reverse this process. Hand your mind the reins to your heart. Feed yourself with wholesome thoughts. With all your willpower, stay focused. With all your willpower, stay focused on the thought. Ignore the burning panic in your heart. Refuse to allow it to distract you. Soon enough, the black horse of pessimism galloped off into the night. Yeah. Moech shalit al halev. Your head has to control your heart. Otherwise, you've missed the whole point. You don't want to do that. All right, come to me and talk about it on social media. Any of the Actors Rabbis groups at Clubhouse, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Telegram, Twitter, WhatsApp, YouTube, or theactorsrabbi.com. Baruch ato Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam boirei nefashos rabois v'chesronan al kol ma sheborasa lachayos bohem nefesh kol chai baruch chai ha'olamim. All right. Thank you so much for being here. You have no idea. All right. Patreon.com/theactorsrabbi, breakfastwithelli.live/new-computer if you would like to help us achieve this goal that we have been striving for a few months now. It's really important that we get a new computer to help bring this broadcast to you on a consistent basis without the fear of a crash. All right, we have Avram Fried and Shulam Lemmer today. They are going to be singing from the United Hatzalah concert, My Yiddische Mama. Oh, I know, it's a great, great nigun. We all know it. But it's nice to hear the boys do it. And they do it so well. I'm so impressed. All right. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to my Patreon sponsors, Pest Pro Riddle, Tarzan Orchids, Dina D Design, Bracha Biederman, Avi G in the UK. Become a sponsor today. Go to patreon.com/theactorsrabbi, breakfastwithelli.live/new-computer. Shabbos comes in at 4:18, and Shabbos goes out Saturday night at 5:22. breakfastwithelli.live/Shabbos 4 times in your neighborhood. Make it a great and glorious day. Shabbos Chazak. We stand up and we sing Chazak, Chazak, V'nis Chazek for the last Torah portion of the book of Breshis. Sunday we start on Shmos, the second book. You guys are just absolutely amazing that we do this every single day. All right. Make it a great and glorious day. Be the reason someone smiles. Go out and kiss your Yiddish mama if you don't have your mother with you anymore. Think of her today and do something in her memory. Be well. I will talk to you, God willing, on Sunday. Have a wonderful Shabbos.
Ich will bei euch a Kasche fragen. Sucht mir, wer es kennt. Mit welchen teure Vermögen bench Gott alle Menschen.
Mein Koi, das nicht fahre keine Geld, das kriegt min nur im Sitz. Und doch als mein fahre Litus so, viele Tränen me fahre
A zweite gibt man keinem nicht, selbst nicht kein Gewinn. Oh, der muss not verloren. Der weiß schon, weiß schon geht, was ich will. weh, wie bitter, wenn sie fällt. Jüdische Mame,
es gibt nicht besser auf der Welt. Wie schön und wichtig ist in uns, wenn die Mame ist du. Wie traurige, finstere Werte, wenn Gott nimmt dir auf Olam
in the Wasser, in Feier, wo sie gelaufen war ihr Kind. Nicht halt ihr Teil, das ist gewiss die größte Sinn.
Oh, wie glücklich und reich ist der Mensch, wo's
As a schöne Matunen, ein Geschenk von Gott.
Nur ein altitschke jüdische
Mame, Mami, English. Schöne Matunen, geschenkt für Gott.
Wasser in Feier, und sie gelaufen vor ihr Kind. Nicht halten ihr Teil, oi, das ist gewiss die größte Sinn. Oh, wie glücklich und reich ist der Mensch, was hat, als a schöne Matune geschenkt von Gott. No, ein wonderful jüdische
Mame, cry for us. Mame, bathe for us. Storm the heavens with your tears. Vishavu, vonim li gulam. Shabbos.